Okay, I have started this vlog here on YouTube so that you guys can kind of see what it is that I'm doing. And I have been real since day one, letting you guys know I'm all new to this and that candles, especially, is 100% new. So if you are becoming a candle business and trying to sell candles or even wax melts, know that there is a lot of testing involved. And so right here, what I am doing is I'm creating one candle with my new wax that I got. It is the apricot coconut wax. I just pop it into here. It's gonna melt it. Once I get it all melted and everything, I am gonna place it into my candle jar. You wanna make sure that your vessels that you're using, like your candle jars, that you get them prepped and cleaned and ready, of course. But you need to know either how many grams or ounces of wax you need for each jar. So what I do is I have a little notebook that I keep these jars so that I know. A trick that I heard was to put unmelted wax inside the jar, and that it should be very close to how many grams or ounces it is once you have melted wax in the jar. I can say that trick did not work for me. My numbers were completely, totally different, and I'm happy that I did check instead of just taking this so-called trick at face value, because 100% the ounces that I got here with the wax is completely different than I got when my wax was melted and in my jar. So I'm glad I double checked that. There is lots of math to be done that you need to be able to do when you are getting your candle and fragrance ratios together. If you do this and you don't do the candle math, that's where you can have your candles not be as scented as you would like. A lot of people think adding more fragrance oil will just be better for it. It absolutely is not, and will not help you get your candles stronger. As a matter of fact, it can make it to where you won't smell hardly any smell at all. So what I'm doing here is just wiping everything down, getting everything ready for my jar. I'm gonna get my wick inside my jar, and everything's gonna be set up and ready to go so that when my wax is all melted and at the point that I can add my fragrance oil, that I can do that. You want to make sure you're checking with your manufacturer of your wax to know how much fragrance oil it can hold. Most is between 8% and 10%. And you also want to check to see like at what temp you should be adding your fragrance oil to your wax. This is very important because if it's too high, it's not going to do what you need it to do. It's just going to burn it away. And if it's too low, it doesn't actually make the molecules mix together with your wax like you need it to. Another thing that you need to know is when you are adding your fragrance oil to your melted wax, that you want to stir it for consistently 2 minutes. I always make sure that I have my Alexa next to me and I set a timer for her for 2 minutes is what I normally do. And after it's done, it tells me, and then I know to quit at that time and that I can add, put it into my jar. So when you're making candles, you're gonna wanna make sure, I know that they can be really nice, they can be really pretty, and you're like, ooh, I really don't wanna warm this one, I don't wanna light it up, because what if it does turn out and then I have one less candle to sell? You wanna make sure that you are doing your testing. I have a candle that I had done, and it was before I learned my candle math, and the cold throw, which is the scent of your candle before you light it, was amazing, and it was strong. So somebody who would have bought that candle would have thought, okay, this is a great smelling candle. When I get it home, I'm gonna warm it and it's gonna smell amazing. However, the hot throw was not there. It was not there even a little bit. So how I test my candles is when I make them, I take them into my bathroom, close the door, and I let them I light them and I let them sit in there for about 30 minutes, and I come in at 30 minutes to see if I can smell it and how strong or not strong the candle is. And then I let it sit there and burn for another 30 minutes. And so at that hour mark, I come in and I check it just to see. You also want to make sure that your candles are not tunneling This means that when you light your candle, the wax is melting all the way around the candle from the wick. That it's not tunneling down into your candle. If that's the case, then you need to adjust your wick size and you need to get the right wick. So this is all part of the testing. This is why people say test your candles, because one, you want to make sure your hot throw is where you want it to be. You want to make sure that your wick size is correct and that it's burning correctly. And you also want to make sure that it's not like blowing up in a sense. You want to make sure that your candles are safe and good for somebody to use in their home. And that is one of the main reasons you will be testing your candles, because at the end of the day, your hot throw is what's going to bring your customers back to you. Your cold throw is what gets them to buy, but your hot throw, which is what the candle smells like when it's burning, is going to bring them back to you. I have nailed down my wax melts, but I cannot seem to get my candles down the way that I would like to. I'm still trying to find that perfect wax. I know a lot of people like soy. I personally do not. I find it to be a hard wax and I'm not loving it, and I don't feel it does a great hot throw. I know other people have gotten really good hot throws and really good candles out of that, and that's amazing. But personally, for me and my business, I will not be using soy wax. I do like paraffin, but I only like those for my wax melts. But I want a certain paraffin because the paraffin I've been buying from the stores that are around and located here in my area is not great. So Candle Science has been where I've been getting my wax from and where I've been trying it. And I'm not buying huge bulk wax. I'm buying just enough to be able to make a couple of candles and be able to try it. I can say their fragrance oils are amazing. I'm loving their jars, which is where I got this candle from. Their jars are awesome and they're not overly priced. I did notice that when I got this wax, it did tell me that the wick that I got was great with this wax, which is fantastic. However, my candle was tunneling and you don't want that. You want your wax to melt all the way around your wick. So I either need to get a bigger wick, which doesn't really make sense to me because as you can see in my candle here, my wick's pretty big. Or I need to use 2 wicks possibly within this candle. This is a 9-ounce jar. However, it holds more than that. So you need to know like your fill weight, your wax weight, and your fragrance. So those are the candle things that you're going to need to know when you're trying to get it all sorted out and figured out. So making candles is not easy. Is it doable? Absolutely, but just do not skip the whole testing your candles situation, because I promise you, you will regret it because your customers will not come back to you if that hot throw is not where you need it to be. I made sure that when I got my candle things that yes, I got stuff to be able to make candles, to be able to test my candles, but I'm not buying in huge bulk yet. Not until I get my candle math down, as you see me doing here. Not until I get what wax I want to use, what's going to be best for my wicks. And I've tried all different wicks. Like I've tried the beeswax wicks, I've tried the wax coated wicks that are the CDs. I have tried wood wicks. Like you want to try all the different things as you're making these candles and try different jars that you might find that work for you, and different wax, different fragrance oils, all the things. Try it. But every time you change something within the sequence of whatever candle you're making, please make sure that you are doing a test with that candle. I personally, like I said, do not buy in bulk for this reason, because if I don't love the wax or I don't like a certain thing about it, I don't want to have a bunch of something that I may not use. So you want to make sure that you are getting the things that you feel is going to be great. You can see here what I'm doing is that jar is just an empty jar. It's similar to it is the one that my wick is in. It's just a different one so that I can get that exact weight and I write that down. I will do a video of exactly how to do candle math. Right now I am using candle math from somebody else I learned on YouTube, and we're going to see if it works. This wax has to actually sit for 2 days before I can even light this candle to test it. And every wax is going to be different because I do have other wax that's 2 weeks that you have to let and set it cure. So please don't be making your candles and then lighting them that night. You won't get the correct smell or anything from your candle at that point. You need to let it cure for however long your wax says it needs to cure. If it doesn't have a cure time, I would go by the 2 weeks. You want to make sure that your testing is getting done correctly. And so if you are lighting your candles before your cure time, it won't work. So like I'm saying, 2 weeks is normally what I would wait if you're not sure about the cure time on your candle. That's the longest I've seen a wax say that it needs to cure, so that is why I'm saying that. Just make sure that when you're ordering your wax, you refer back to the website once you get it to know like how long you need to wait for it to cure, what temp you need to get that wax to, when you can add the fragrance oil, all the different things. There are so many different things that are at play here when making a candle that it can change the way that your candle burns. It can change the smell of your candle. It can change a whole lot. So you want to make sure you know the temp of your wax. You want to make sure you know the grams or the ounces of your wax and your fragrance oil, your candle jars that you're putting it in, like how many ounces that is, all those things. So just make sure that when you are doing this and you're doing your candles, that you are making sure you're like, okay, I added this to my candle, so this could change the chemistry of it. These are chemicals that you are working with. Even adding something as small as mica powder or a color could even change it. So just make sure anytime you add or subtract something from your candles that you are retesting those candles out. This candle that I'm making right here is the second candle I've actually made with this coconut apricot wax that I got from Candle Science. I love it because it's a soft wax and it cures within 2 days. I just need to find a wick that works correctly with it. I also want to try a couple more of their waxes to see if I like something better. I did find wax melt ones that I'm going to be trying with them to see if I like those. Even when you're doing your wax melts, you want to make sure you're letting those cure also, and you're testing those in your warmers to make sure that your scent is being released and that you could smell it for more than just a couple of hours or even 1 day. So again, anytime you're doing anything with wax melts or candles, just make sure that you try it in your home first before you go and you sell it to somebody else if you want to continue to sell candles and have these customers come back, because finding customers, it's already hard. So if you get one and then you lose it because your hot throw wasn't where you needed it to be, that's really bummer, and you don't want that to be happening. You want to keep those customers and them coming back to you. So just make sure that you do that. Another thing too is you want to make sure that you have your warning labels at the end of your candles. You want to make sure that you have your logo on there away from your customers to be able to contact you after they do this. If you're doing in-person places like a farmer's market or a craft show, you want to make sure that you have all of your stuff out so that they have a way of reordering from you. Versus somebody who might have found you online and reordered from your website, they're going to know how to contact you and a way to reorder again. But still, when you ship these, you want to make sure that you're still adding your stuff to it so that they know, okay, this is a good way to reorder. This is what we can do. You can even add like a 10% discount in there, whatever you feel might be good. As I started out, I started to get little things like my little warmer I got from Amazon. It came with the little warmer and it came with the tin that you see here that I've got all my wax in. It came with one of those. I bought this deep fryer from Walmart for like 25 bucks, and that's what I've been melting it with. And I just use a metal ladle, as you see me cleaning it here, to get the wax out of there and into my metal pitcher that I had gotten off of Amazon. I always use these shop towels while my things still have the wax that's melted on them to clear them off, and that's how I clean them. It makes it pretty easy to clean up. Shop towels really soak in that wax, and then I don't have to worry about making a big deal or a mess. You also want to make sure that when you're going to pour your wax that you're letting it cool down to whatever your wax needs to be cooled. Here, mine got to 165, and then I poured it in, and it seems to be working great. When I very first started out, I did not know that you needed to let your wax cool down a little bit. So I was pouring my hot wax directly into my jars and could not figure out why my wicks were coming up off the bottom, and it was because of the heat from the wax. So you want to make sure that you are letting those actually, cool down and get that stuff out of there. So, but anyways, guys, I wanted to jump on here while I was making these candles so that I could just kind of talk to you guys about how making these candles and doing the testing is the most important thing when you are making a candle. If you are not testing your candles or your wax melts, you are missing out, and you can lose customers this way. You can see even there on my desk, I've got a little jar. It's got blue wax inside of it. That was one of my test candles. I didn't even finish testing it for 2 reasons. One, you could not smell the hot throw whatsoever. And 2, you can see that it's tunneling. You can see how the blue wax right there wasn't even melting. And this was in one of the jars that I got off of Amazon, and I used a wick that I thought was big enough. So in this one, I would need to get a bigger wick, and I would also need to figure out my fragrance oil scents. And at this point, I did not know candle math. You need to know candle math, and I'm still learning it. That is why I'm not going to go over it in this video. However, I will do a video once I find something that works for me, because the things that I've been using, it's semi-working and it is getting there, but I am waiting for it to be something that I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I've got it down. I can teach this, and I know it's going to work for other people. So I'm not going to go over the candle math today, but if you have ever learned candle math, please make sure you are doing it, and do know that candle math for your fragrance oil and your wax is very, very important, and something that you're going to want to learn and get down. I am super excited about this. I am going to be ecstatic once I can get my hot throw, as well as I can get my cold throw. My cold throw is amazing right now. I just need to get that hot throw, and I also need to find a wick that works perfect, that will burn my wax all the way down and not tunnel, because I don't want these candles tunneling. I want them to be warming up that wax. So thank you guys. Make sure that you click that bell, subscribe, and leave any comments if you have any questions. I appreciate you guys for stopping by.